My parents told me the conservatorship was just a formality to protect me. They forgot that one day I'd heal enough to read the paperwork they had me sign, and realize they'd legally turned me into a child so they could drain every dollar of my accident payout. What they really didn't expect was that the same brain injury they used as an excuse would be the reason a judge believed me over them. Before I get into it, if you like long Reddit-style stories about toxic parents, money, legal betrayal, and revenge, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It really helps more people find these full stories. I'm 26 now. The accident happened when I was 19. Back then, my life was pretty normal. I just finished my first year of college, was home for the summer, and working at a coffee shop to save up for an apartment with friends. My parents were average. Not movie villains, not saints. My dad, Jason, worked in construction management. My mom, Lisa, was a nurse. They fought about money, but we never went hungry. We weren't super close, but I thought they loved me in the normal, slightly distant way a lot of parents do. If you'd told me then that they would eventually go to court to keep me legally incompetent so they could keep access to my money, I would have laughed. Then a drunk driver blew a red light. I was in the passenger seat of my friend's car. We were coming back from a late shift, talking about nothing, and then white, then black. I woke up 2 days later in the ICU with my mom crying and telling me how lucky I was to be alive. I had a traumatic brain injury, a broken leg, some internal bruising. I don't remember the crash. I remember flashes, paramedics, bright lights, the worst headache of my life, not knowing what day it was. I was confused, emotional, shaky. My speech was sometimes slow. I'd forget things mid-sentence. I slept like I'd never slept before. The doctors said I'd probably make a good recovery, but it would take time. Brain injuries are weird. Progress isn't linear. My parents were all in. My mom took time off work. My dad set up a whiteboard schedule for meds, appointments, physical therapy, neuropsych evaluations. They told every nurse and doctor they talked to, "We'll do anything. We just want her better." I was grateful. I didn't see yet how quickly "we'll do anything" was turning into "we'll control everything." The drunk driver's insurance company contacted us within weeks. It was a clear case. He was over the limit, ran a light, multiple witnesses, police report, dash cam from another car. Their first settlement offer was insulting. My parents hired a personal injury lawyer. "Don't worry about anything," my dad said. "We'll handle this. You just focus on healing." I was literally relearning how to walk without limping. I was zoning out halfway through TV shows. I did not have the energy to argue about legal strategy, so I didn't. The case dragged on for almost 2 years. In that time, I took a semester off school, then tried one class at a time. I did speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy. I slowly, painfully clawed my way back to being mostly functional. I still had headaches and fatigue. I needed lists and alarms. But I could hold a conversation, follow recipes, drive short distances, and manage basic tasks. My neuropsychologist wrote in his last report, "Patient shows significant recovery of cognitive function. Some executive functioning challenges under stress, but overall judgment and orientation intact. Capable of managing day-to-day affairs with support." My parents never showed me that report. I saw it years later, printed, highlighted, ignored. The settlement came right before my 21st birthday. I remember the meeting in the lawyer's office. Dark wood table, legal pads everywhere, my parents sitting on either side of me like bookends. The lawyer slid a folder across the table. "They've agreed to $350,000, he said. "After fees and medical liens, The net to you will be around $240,000. My brain didn't fully process the number. I'd never seen more than $800 in my bank account at once. Wow, I said. My dad squeezed my shoulder. This is for your future, he said. College, maybe a house someday. We'll make sure it's taken care of. The lawyer cleared his throat. Because you've had a documented brain injury, he said, the court usually requires some kind of protection for the funds, at least for a while. Sometimes a trust, sometimes a conservatorship. It can be temporary. I frowned. What does that mean? I asked. Conservatorship like Britney Spears. He laughed a little too hard. No, he said. Nothing that extreme. It just means the court appoints someone to help manage the money in your best interest. It's pretty routine in head injury cases, especially when the injured person is young. He looked at my parents. Often a parent serves in that role, he said. Judges like to see that there's someone responsible overseeing things while recovery continues. I was tired. My head hurt. Legal jargon made me feel like my brain was made of cotton. My mom leaned in. Sweetie, this is just so no one takes advantage of you, she said. We've been here through everything. We're not going to do anything that isn't best for you. My dad added, we'll be your conservators just for a while until everything stabilizes. The court wants to see that someone with experience is handling investments, taxes, that kind of stuff. You hate numbers anyway. He said it like a joke, like thousands of parents before him. The lawyer slid a stack of papers toward me. These are just standard petitions, he said. Your parents will be listed as conservators of the estate. It shouldn't affect your day-to-day life. I signed where the tabs were. I wish I could go back and tell 21-year-old exhausted, concussed me, do not sign this without your own lawyer. But she didn't have me, she had them. For a while, nothing seemed different. The settlement money went into an account with my name on it under conservatorship. I couldn't access it directly, but my parents reassured me. It's earning interest, my dad said. We put some in investments, some in a high-yield savings account. We used a little to pay off the remaining medical bills. You're set up really well. I went back to school part-time. They paid my tuition from the fund. If I needed something big, a laptop, a used car, they'd say, we'll see what the conservatorship allows. And usually it would appear after a week of paperwork. It felt annoying but not sinister. I told myself, this is probably normal. It's a lot of money. I'm lucky to have it. What I didn't see was all the other things being paid out of that account. Not until later. The first real red flag came when I asked about graduation. I was 24. It had taken me longer to finish my degree because of the accident, but I was finally doing it. I had a job offer in another city. Nothing massive, entry-level job in my field, but it was mine. I told my parents I wanted to move into my own apartment closer to work. My mom went very quiet. My dad said, why? You can save so much money by staying here another year. We've been supporting you this long. What's one more year? One more year felt like a prison sentence. I'm grateful, I said, but I'm ready. I want to be an adult, pay my own rent, live near my job instead of commuting an hour each way. My mom shook her head. I don't know if that's safe, she said. You still get overwhelmed so easily. Remember last month when you forgot your appointment? What if you forget to pay a bill or leave the stove on? I forgot one appointment, I said, because your dog threw up all over the rug and you asked me to clean it before I left. She narrowed her eyes. You're not as stable as you think, she said. The accident changed you. My dad jumped in. And the court still considers you under conservatorship, he said. We have a legal duty to protect your finances. Signing a lease on your own, managing utilities, that's a lot. It's normal adult stuff, I said. Plenty of people with worse injuries than me live independently. My mom crossed her arms. Your neuropsych report said you have impaired executive functioning, she said. How do you know that? I asked. I never saw that report. She looked briefly flustered, then said, We know what it said, just trust us. Something in my stomach nodded. Trust us. Those words had started to feel less like comfort and more like a warning. I didn't let it go this time. If they were going to say the court and the report and legal duty, then I wanted to see the actual paper, not just their interpretation. So I did something extremely dangerous in their eyes. I started reading. I called the neuropsychologist's office and requested a copy of my evaluation, citing HIPAA. It took some back and forth because my parents had been the ones listed as contacts, but legally I was the patient. They had to give it to me. When the report came, I read all 18 pages. It did not say I was incapable of living independently. It did not say I was incompetent with money. It said I might need extra time for decisions and benefit from support and structure. It also clearly said I was oriented, had intact memory, and had good judgment. Then I requested copies of the conservatorship paperwork from the court. That was another rabbit hole. The original petition, signed when I was 21, used language like, due to ongoing cognitive deficits, my name is unable to fully manage complex financial decisions and is at risk of being taken advantage of. Petitioner's parents request appointment as co-conservators of the estate to protect settlement funds. Okay, not totally insane, given my condition then. But the conservatorship had to be renewed periodically. And in those renewals, which I had never seen, my parents had clearly gotten creative. One form, filed when I was 23, claimed, My name continues to struggle with memory, impulse control, and understanding of money. She is easily confused and overwhelmed. We do not believe she can safely manage large sums without supervision. They never told me they'd said that. Another form, when I was 24, flat out stated, Without our guidance, we fear she may squander her funds, be manipulated by others, or fail to meet her basic needs. They painted me as a child in an adult body. Meanwhile, I was getting A's in my classes, working part-time, and managing my own day-to-day life just fine. The final straw was the accounting. Conservators have to file an accounting with the court, showing how they've used the protected funds. I requested copies. What I saw made my stomach flip. Yes, some entries made sense. Tuition payments to my university. Payments to doctors and therapists. A used car purchase in my name. But then there were things like $12,500, home repairs, their house not mine. $8,200, family vacation accommodation, a beach trip I didn't go on, I was working. $3,600, loan repayment to Jason. No such loan had ever been mentioned to me. $5,000, Lisa's continuing education, a certification course my mom had wanted for years before my accident. Monthly withdrawals labeled caregiver stipend Lisa and administrative stipend Jason for hundreds of dollars each, every month, for years. They had been paying themselves a salary from my settlement, quietly, with the court's blessing, apparently, because no one had objected, all under the umbrella of managing my estate. In total, over 4 years, more than half my original net settlement, over $120,000, had gone to things that, at best, were only partially about me. At worst, they were just theft dressed up as caregiving. I sat at my kitchen table, papers spread around me, and shook. This wasn't protecting me. This was them treating my brain injury like a winning lottery ticket. I brought everything to a different lawyer. Not the personal injury one who'd set up the conservatorship. A completely new attorney who specialized in probate and elder disabled abuse. She sat across from me, reading the documents, her eyebrows climbing higher with every line. "Let me get this straight," she said. "You have a college degree, you work, you live at home but handle your own daily life. Your neuropsych report says you're competent with support. And your parents have been renewing a full conservatorship over your estate for years without telling you the full implications." "Yes," I said. "And they've been paying themselves ongoing stipends from your settlement," she said, "and using your funds for house repairs and vacations you didn't attend." "Yes," I said again. She exhaled. "This is not what a conservatorship of the estate is supposed to look like," she said. "It's meant to protect vulnerable people from exploitation, not to give their parents a blank check." I laughed bitterly. "Guess it failed," I said. "Not entirely," she said. "You're here, you're asking questions, that's a good sign." She outlined my options. Petition the court to terminate the conservatorship based on restored capacity. Request a full, updated accounting of every dollar spent. Potentially pursue a surcharge or civil action against my parents for misuse of funds. "But they're my parents," I said weakly. "I don't want them in jail or something, I just want my life back." She nodded. "We're not talking criminal charges right now," she said. "We're talking about you regaining control of your own estate and holding them accountable. Think of it this way. Would you feel comfortable letting them continue?" I thought about my mom saying, "You're not as stable as you think," whenever I asserted myself. My dad saying, "You hate numbers anyway," whenever I asked about money. "No," I said, "I don't." "Then we file," she said. Telling my parents I had my own lawyer was ugly. We sat at the dining table, the same place we'd opened the original settlement letter. "I've been looking at the conservatorship papers," I said, "and the accountings, and the neuropsych report. I'm petitioning to terminate the conservatorship and take back control of my finances." My mom went pale. My dad's face flushed red. "Why would you do that?" my mom demanded. "We've taken care of everything for you." "I'm an adult," I said softly, "and the report says I'm capable. You just never showed me that part." My dad slammed his hand on the table. "You don't understand how much work this has been," he said. "The forms, the taxes, the meetings. We've saved you from so many bad decisions." "You also paid yourselves thousands of dollars from my settlement," I said, "for stipends and repayments I never agreed to." He froze. "We earned that money," he said finally. "We put our lives on hold to care for you. No one asked you to pay for your home renovations with my injury money," I said, "or your vacation." "That vacation was for the family," my mom snapped. "You just chose not to come." "I was scheduled to work," I said, "and no one offered to use my funds to cover my lost wages so I could go." Silence. My dad leaned forward. "Listen," he said, voice low. "You're not thinking clearly. This is exactly what we told the court. You get something in your head and you fixate. You're being ungrateful." Ungrateful. There it was. "I am grateful you took care of me when I was hurt," I said. "I am not grateful you hid reports, lied to the court, and treated my money like it was yours." My mom started to cry. "We could lose the house if you take this away," she sobbed. "We used some of that money to catch up on the mortgage after we missed payments while I was off work caring for you. Do you want us to be homeless?" Guilt stabbed me. "I don't want you homeless," I said, But you can't hold that over my head forever. You chose how to use that money. I never agreed to any of this." My dad straightened up. "If you push this," he said, "we will fight. We will tell the court you're still impaired, that you're impulsive and easily manipulated, that this lawyer is using you." He smiled tightly. "Remember," he said, "legally you're still under our conservatorship. We still speak for you. Be careful." Something in me went very, very calm. "Maybe not for much longer," I said. The court process took months. I underwent a fresh neuropsych evaluation with an independent doctor appointed by the court. This time I went in prepared. I explained my history, my recovery, how I manage my life now, job, bills, appointments, medications. I was honest about my challenges. I still use reminders and lists. I get overwhelmed by too many tasks at once. I hate loud, chaotic environments. "But do you feel you can manage your own finances with basic support and maybe a financial advisor?" the doctor asked. "Yes," I said firmly. "I've been managing my checking account and everyday expenses for years. The only thing I haven't managed is the big account my parents control." The doctor's report, which we saw a few weeks later, was clear. My name demonstrates sufficient cognitive capacity to manage her own financial affairs with standard professional support, e.g., an accountant or financial advisor. No major impairments are observed that would justify continuation of a full conservatorship of the estate. Meanwhile, my parents' lawyer filed an opposition. They submitted letters describing me as impulsive, easily confused, strongly influenced by outsiders, and unable to understand the long-term consequences of financial decisions. They attached a list of times I'd forgotten my keys, overdrawn my checking account by $23 once, gotten overwhelmed during holiday dinners, and gone to my room to calm down. Evidence, apparently, of lifelong incompetence. They also argued that their stipends were reasonable compensation for caregiving and administrative work. Our side responded with the neuropsych report, my college transcripts, a letter from my employer saying I was reliable and handled my responsibilities well, a full breakdown of the conservatorship, accountings with all questionable expenditures highlighted. We also got something I never expected. The original personal injury lawyer wrote a sworn statement that when he'd suggested some kind of protection for my funds, he'd envisioned a limited structure or trust reviewed when I reached 25, not an indefinite conservatorship. "If I had known how this would be handled," he wrote, "I would have strongly advised my name to obtain independent counsel separate from her parents." The judge set a hearing date. Walking into that courtroom, I felt like I was on trial for being myself. My parents sat on the other side with their lawyer, my mom clutching tissues, my dad glaring at me like I'd stabbed him. Their lawyer went first. He painted a picture of selfless parents doing their best. "These are people who rearranged their entire lives to care for their injured daughter," he said. "They have simply followed the court's orders, filed regular accountings, and taken modest compensation for thousands of hours of unpaid labor." He described me as vulnerable. "She is bright, yes, but still impulsive, still easily overwhelmed. We are not saying she will never be ready, only that at this time, given her history and susceptibility to outside influence, the conservatorship should remain in place." Then he got to the money. "The expenditures in question," he said, "were all related to maintaining a safe and stable home environment for our ward. Home repairs prevented foreclosure. The family vacation was a restorative break after years of caregiving stress. The stipends are well within normal ranges." My skin crawled at the word ward. Then it was our turn. My lawyer began with the neuropsych report. Independent medical evidence shows that my name is capable of managing her affairs, she said. Her parents' description of her as perpetually incompetent is simply not supported by the data. Then she turned to me. She asked questions about my job, my daily routines, how I pay bills, how I plan meals and appointments, how I use reminders to compensate for any lingering cognitive issues. I answered clearly. I did not cry. Do you feel you can manage your settlement funds if the conservatorship is terminated? She asked. Yes, I said, and I'm willing to work with a financial advisor or put the money into a trust I control if the court prefers. I just don't want my parents controlling it anymore. Why not? She asked. Because they've been using it for themselves without my informed consent, I said. I only found out by reading the accountings myself. She walked the judge through every questionable expense. Did you know, she asked me, that $12,500 from your settlement was used for home repairs on your parents' house? No, I said. I found out when I saw the accounting. Did you authorize $8,200 labeled family vacation for a trip you didn't attend? She asked. No, I said. Did you agree to pay your parents monthly stipends from your settlement fund? She continued. They told me they were just handling the money, I said. They never said they were paying themselves from it. Then she pulled out the big one. Did your parents ever show you the part of your neuropsychologist's report that says you're capable of managing your own affairs? She asked. No, I said. They always told me it said I wasn't ready. The judge leafed through the report, lips thinning. Then my parents took the stand. My mom cried a lot. She talked about the night of the accident, the fear, the months in hospitals, the sleepless nights after. She said she'd never meant to deceive me, that she just wanted to keep me safe. My dad was more defensive. We did what we had to do, he said. The house repairs kept a roof over her head. The stipends compensated us for lost wages. We sacrificed for her, and this is the thanks we get. My lawyer asked one simple question that cut through everything. Did you ever tell your daughter, in plain language, we are paying ourselves hundreds of dollars a month from your settlement and using your accident money to fix our roof and take vacations? He shifted. She knew we had to use some of it to keep the household running, he said. She could have asked if she wanted details. So that's a no, my lawyer said. He glared. We're her parents, he said. We shouldn't have to justify every decision. The judge scribbled something down. The ruling came a week later. I cried before I opened the envelope. Inside, in formal legal language, it said, the conservatorship of my estate was terminated. I was restored to full capacity to manage my own financial affairs. My parents were ordered to turn over all remaining funds, plus a complete, detailed accounting, within 30 days. The court reserved the right to impose a surcharge, financial penalty, if additional misuse of funds was found. The judge's written comments were brutal in judge language. He noted that while my parents had indeed provided care and support after my injury, they had also failed to fully inform me of my rights and my diagnosis, characterized me as more impaired than the evidence supported, used my funds for purposes that primarily benefited themselves. He wrote, conservators of an estate have a fiduciary duty to act solely in the best interests of the conservatee. In this case, that duty has been compromised by self-dealing and a lack of transparency. Self-dealing. There it was in black and white. My parents were furious. My dad called, leaving a voicemail that said, "You just ruined us. I hope your precious independence keeps you warm when we lose this house. My mom texted, "You're not our daughter anymore." I forwarded both to my lawyer and then blocked them. We're still sorting through the financial mess. I didn't get all the money back. A lot of it is gone, paying their debts, their projects, their comforts. We did manage to get some restitution through a negotiated settlement. Not worth the original amount, but enough that I have a decent safety net and a fresh start. I also now have a financial advisor who works for me, not my parents. A therapist helping me process the fact that my parents saw my injury as leverage. Friends who know the whole story and refuse to let me minimize it. I'm living in a small apartment in the city where my job is. I pay my own rent. I buy my own groceries. I mess up sometimes, sure, I forget a bill, I double book plans, but nothing catastrophic happens. My brain isn't perfect, but it's mine. Sometimes I think about the girl in the hospital bed who signed whatever was put in front of her, because the people handing her the pen were her parents and a lawyer in a suit. I wish someone had leaned down and whispered in her ear, "Ask for your own lawyer. Ask to see the report. Remember that help without transparency is not help, it's control." My parents told themselves a story where they were the heroes, the self-sacrificing caregivers who saved their damaged daughter and were owed compensation. But the law told a different story, one where they were guardians who forgot their duty and treated someone else's tragedy payout like their retirement plan. They used to say, "We gave you life." Now I think, I literally gave them a second one in the form of money, and they spent it like I was never going to wake up enough to notice. They were wrong. So what do you think? If your parents became your conservators after a brain injury, promised they were just protecting you, and then you found out years later that they'd paid themselves thousands and used your settlement for their house, vacation, and debts, would you confront them and forgive, as long as they stopped? Or would you, like me, hire your own lawyer, end the conservatorship, and let a judge decide what family loyalty really looks like when money is involved? Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, tell us whose side you're on in the comments, and subscribe to Reddit Story Vault for more full Reddit-style stories about relationships, toxic families, money, and legal revenge every day.